Knees and toes.
The shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. As always, I am PK flying solo today. If you've never listened to an episode of me going solo, it's a treat. I catch myself rambling on. I don't have a co-host that can ease my errors in speaking, and there's going to be quite a bit of them. Episode 389, getting close to the big 400. Before we dive in, remember you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. It's about to get real busy over there. Phil's got his articles coming out every Tuesday post-game to review anything that we do not break down on the Monday shows, and then I will be having my power rankings up. First one next Thursday. We'll get into that in just a second. And then look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. On today's episode, that I'm, again, flying solo, so buckle up, guys. Get your seatbelts, clock them in, getting ready. We're going to be talking about the Bills. Actually, start off, we're going to be breaking down what we got coming up before even the NLL season gets going, because we got a ton of stuff on the horizon coming up very shortly. I'll go over that in a second. Bills get a big victory over Tampa Bay on Sunday, another great 1 o'clock game. It was actually a very entertaining game, too. Get out of the slump. Sabres, are they getting healthy? It seems like that, but every time they take one step forward, it's a few steps back. And then I'm going to be cranking out the NLL Bold Predictions for both myself and our co-host Phil, and our standings predictions. We got, I was looking over the notes. Phil and I have 5 of the exact, 6. I'm remembering now, 6 of the 14 teams, exactly the same. It's going to be interesting. But coming up, actually, week in review. See, I don't even have anybody to cover when I'm coughing here. Week in review, all I did was a disc golf Saturday, Beaver Island. It was a little chilly when we were on the river, but beyond that, it was a good time. There might be a few of those guys. Sorry. So, coming up, Pat Gregoire, the interview that we're having. Actually, as you're listening to this right now, we might be going over our interview right now. That is being taken place on Wednesday. It will be out on Thursday. We're going to be previewing the entire season. I got a question on each team. I'm going to propose to him and get his response on it, because there's no better person out there to go over the entire NLL upcoming season than Pat Gregoire. Saturday, we have Bud Bailey. He's going to be back on to talk about his brand new book. I just got done reading it the other day. Absolutely fantastic. Easy read. Stay tuned for that one on Saturday. Monday, we will be back with our normal episodes. It's our first in-season episode of the year. Bandits Bold Predictions and the team makeup. I know the deadline to have their entire team done is Monday, but we'll record Sunday. We're going to get out as much as we can. I'll go over the moves that they already made today. Shortly into this episode, Wednesday, we have Nick Kloss coming on. He is the play-by-play man for the Georgia Swarm. He is the first of hopefully 18 interviews that we got coming up to preview the upcoming game for the Buffalo Bandits. We started that midway through last season. We're going to continue it, hopefully the entire season this year. Thursday, we're hoping that, fingers crossed, we got another guest coming on. I can't announce it yet because I don't have anything locked in, but hopefully next Thursday we do have another interview to pump out. Thursday, again, will be my first power rankings that will be released pre-start of the season, I guess you would call them. And then it will also be our weekly Pickem with one small change that I'll mention in just a second here. Then Friday, we have our normal episode previewing Bandits versus Swarm. Sunday will be the MVP from Saturday's game, and that pretty much wraps up our intro to the NLL season. But to go back on how we're doing the weekly NLL Pickem this year we're going to include the people for people's picks. And this is how it's going to work, because I'm not doing the Bandits fantasy game this year. It just, the time constriction, it just wasn't going to work. So we're putting that on the back burner this year. We're hopefully bringing it back next year, new and improved. But with everything that went down in this offseason, it's just not possible. Every Sunday for the NLL Pickem, you can play against me and Phil. Every Sunday, I'm going to be putting out a poll on all the social media sites, at least Instagram and X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, because I know for sure you can do polls on there. Then you can vote on who you think will win each matchup. And whichever team has the most votes, that will be the people's pick this year. The polls will be open on Sunday, and they will be closing on Wednesday at 5 p.m., so we have time to gather all the data, put it in the algorithm, do the graphics, and put it out on Thursday. So that will be how the NLL Pick'em works this year. It will be Phil, PK, and the people's picks. So we're going to try to include you this year on the weekly NLL Pick'em. It's a fun time, and I think I've come in last every single year because I watch too much lacrosse, and I'm biased towards all of it. But on today's episode, we already went over what we're doing with the NLL. And I already we're coming up with what's going on in the docket soon. So as you can tell, I'm already rambling on because I'm solo and there's nobody to really correct me and give me a break. So we'll go on with the Bills first. Bills versus Bucs. Bills get a big victory, 44-32. Allen, 19 of 30, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And then all he did was the rushing game, 6 rushes, 40 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cook, 16 of 48. 366 and 1 through the air. Shavers 490 and 1 through the air. He stepped up big time in the benching of Keon Coleman, even though Keon Coleman really wasn't doing anything all season. The good parts of this game: Josh Allen, hero ball. I mean, it was unbelievable. You went back to junkyard Josh Allen, and I think that's the way they're going to have to do it this season if they want this offense to look like what we need it to do. You got Ty Johnson, who came out of nowhere. I mean, he was not very good this season, and Ray Davis hasn't been good this season. In James Cook, they pretty much locked down and went, okay, we're going to let the passing game beat us if we want to. And let me fix this screen because I'm currently blurry if you're watching YouTube. There we go. I think I'm better. But I thought Ty Johnson, especially in the receiving game, that one that he just sped by all the defenders, it was unbelievable. I would like to see him involved more in the passing game. It's shocking what happens when you pass the ball to the running backs. Good things actually happen. The passing game, there was guys getting open all the time. And I've been very critical of Joe Brady this season. I've been very critical of coaching staff. I've been very critical of this team. I thought the passing game was vastly improved to what we saw this season. Guys were getting open, and I think a lot of them was the play design. And that touchdown pass after the interception from Cole Bishop to James Cook down the sidelines, that was drawn up. That was a flawless execution plan and a flawless play design by Joe Brady. So I'm giving him his flowers in this one. He had a very, very good day. Cole Bishop continues to just be lights out. And as negative as I am on Jordan Poyer on the field, I think he's lost a step. Everybody sees he lost a step, even though he had 15 tackles in this game. It's not good when your safety's getting 15 tackles. But I think him added to this lineup and Taylor Rapp going out has unlocked Cole Bishop, and he continues. This is 4 games in a row of him being unbelievable back there. They're relying on him to be he's responsible back there. They trust him back there, and he's developing into that second-round pick that they hoped he would be. And then Dorian Williams. I really liked him last year in Matt Milano's absence, and especially when Terrell Bernard went down last year as well, Dorian Williams stepped up. Now, he played sparingly, yes, but the times that he was there, I thought he was electric and was a difference maker, and I think you need to have more run of him, less Matt Milano. And that's where we transfer over to the bad. The defense, the old guys that you brought back, or the old guys still on the team, they've taken a step back. And Jordan Poyer, yes, he's not as fast, but I thought with his addition to what he's doing with Cole Bishop, I can live with what he's got back there. The defensive backs, I'm pretty okay with right now. Matt Milano has lost a step, and it's pretty sad. I'm a big Matt Milano guy. One of the very few Bills jerseys I have is Matt Milano. He's definitely taken a step back, and he has not been very good. It's just between not being able to stay healthy, lost a step. This is definitely his last year in a Bills uniform. I think once Shaq Thompson's fully go, and it sounded like he was full go back-to-back days this week, I would like to see Shaq Thompson there, and then you sprinkle in Dorian Williams. Matt Milano goes to that third, fourth linebacker, and if you need him in a pinch, he's there. But he's not an every down linebacker anymore. Joey Bosa got out of position in the run support every time. I mean, how many times did you think he was going to get a sack? And then it was just, nah, I'm good. It was the one play in was you dropping back in coverage. He was just completely lost back there. And then Taron Johnson, this has been a slow burn, but I've been noticing it more and more and more. Cam Lewis needs to take Taron Johnson's spot. It stinks because Taron Johnson had one of the biggest interceptions in playoff Bills history ever that he returned back for a touchdown. I think it was 103 yards versus Lamar Jackson. I think Taron Johnson needs to take a step back as well. It seems like Cam Lewis is better on the field. Coleman, I don't know how you come back from this. This is his third instance where he's been disciplined, and this time it's a full game. I know Curtis Samuel is hurt right now, and I know McCole Hardman had that fumble, and he's hurt as well. Neither of them have practiced on Monday and Tuesday, and I know Monday was a walkthrough. But it's just, I don't know how you put him back in. I think his time with Buffalo, or any meaningful minutes with Buffalo, or meaningful snaps, I should say, is done. I think this is a missed pick. And yes, it's only a year and a half in, but I think this is a mispick. I was questioning the pick when they did it. I thought he would take time to develop. They're playing him in a role that he shouldn't really be playing in. He's more of a slot guy, but they already have a slot guy in Khalil Shakir and plenty of other slot guys on this team. But I think Coleman's time with the Buffalo Bills is pretty much done. The defensive run game, I don't know how you fix it. And I know a lot of guys are injured right now, and you're hoping some guys get back, and some of the DTs are playing defensive end. It's just, you had Sean Tucker just run all over you. 19 for 106 and 2, and then 2 for 34 and 1 through the air. 3 touchdowns for the guy who's gotten, 2 touchdowns in his first 2 years, something like that. It's ridiculous. The run game is not good. If they face Indy in the playoffs, I'm terrified of what Jonathan Taylor is going to do to this defense. And then still, third and long, this is the worst third and long defense in the entire league. I don't know. I mean, that one was on Taron Johnson and the guys around him. Just completely oblivious to what's going on. How do you not understand? And I know they're playing zone, and I get it, you're covering your zone, but the way to beat the zone is just to find an open area, and just got shredded with that. But again, big victory. This is the best the team has looked, especially the offense. I shouldn't say the whole team, because I think the defense looked better versus Kansas City. I think this is the best this offense has looked. I'm still skeptical, and I know 44 to 32 victory. How can you be skeptical of it? But you needed Josh Allen to go absolutely nuclear. And I think that's the only way that this team's going to be able to win in the playoffs, is having Josh Allen go nuclear. And, the next game is tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, versus Houston. Thursday night game. It's the last primetime game they're going to be having all the year. Thank God. I think the rest of them are like 425s moving forward. But, it's another big game versus Houston, who's somehow sitting 5-5, and nobody's really come back to you. And I'll go over the around the league now. New England gets another victory over the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Miami gets a big victory over in, where was they, Germany? I can't remember, overseas somewhere. Houston gets a game-winning field goal over Tennessee. Steelers just run all over Cincinnati. I know Warren got down, but 34-12 win there. Who knows about Aaron Rodgers' left hand? Got Jags 35-6 win over the Chargers, and Herbert gets hurt in that one. They go on to a bye. Baltimore gets another win, gets back to 500, 23-16 win over Cleveland. Denver gets a massive game-winning field goal win over Kansas City, 22-19, and then Las Vegas just decided not to even show up that night on Monday Night Football. But Denver's sitting at the top of the standings right now, 9-2. New England's right behind them, 9-2. Colts 8-2. Pittsburgh is 6-4, and then Buffalo slides up one spot into the 5th seed at 7-6. Chargers and Jags round out the top 7, and then right behind them, Houston, Kansas City, and Baltimore all sitting 5-5. Who would have thought going into Week 12, Kansas City and Baltimore would be on the outside looking in? But it's never count either of those two teams out, especially with Mark Jackson back and Rashee Rice fully healthy with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a very fun finish to the NFL season, and Buffalo's sitting there right in 7-3. I do not feel great, but I feel better than I did last week, because we saw some pulse in the passing game. We saw a pulse with Joe Brady. We saw Josh Allen getting fired up, and I think that's a big part of it. How many times have we seen this year where Josh Allen's sitting in the same spot, the same bench, with the same hat all year long, and just, you haven't seen happy, fun, pumped up Josh Allen in a long time, and you finally saw it. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. And first test is versus Houston. But we'll move on to the Buffalo Sabres. 2-2 the last 4 games. Wednesday versus Utah, 5-2 loss. Rosine gets 2. Thursday versus Colorado, they lose 6-3. Byram, Greenway, and Tage were the goal scorers. UPL started in that one, gets pulled. Lyon finishes out 1-3. Saturday versus Detroit, big overtime victory, first overtime victory of the year. 5-4. Tuck, Doan, Tage, McLeod, and Samuelson. Samuelson with the game winner in overtime. Unlikely story. 2 defenders on the ice there. And then Monday versus Edmonton, 5-1 win. They completely shut McDavid down. Osling gets 2. Byram, Malenstein, and Tage gets the empty netter. Overview, because I don't want to talk too much about the Buffalo Sabres. 2-2. At the moment, they're 6 points out of a wild card spot. If I remember correctly, let me pull this up because I believe they were earlier today. 22. No, I'm sorry. They're 4 points out of a wild card spot. And closing this out, remember? It's going solo. 5 points out of the division. So they're right on the cusp, even though they've been decimated by injuries and haven't really looked all the good. Oslin and Rosine, I don't know what you do when the team is fully healthy, which seems like it's an impossible feat this year, but they need to stay up. It's you can't send those 2 guys down. Kesselring hurts again. It sounds like he's going to be out a while, but Dahlin's back. Norris and Zucker are practicing. It sounds like Benson could be back soon. Ellis seems like a legit number 2. There are positive things with the Buffalo Sabres right now, even though I will say I'm still not buying it. I just want them to be entertaining hockey again. Monday was a very entertaining game. Ellis looks like a legit goalie option. It's just it's an issue that they've had for the past few years, and it's an issue that the Buffalo Bandits had a couple of years ago. 3 goalies is too many on a roster, and I don't know what they're going to do because you waive Ellis, try to get him down to Rochester, even though I don't think he should. He's going to get claimed. UPL. I think at this point, and I know they just paid him, and I think he has value around the league. If you waive him, he's going to get claimed along with his contract. Maybe that's not a bad thing. And then you got Alex Lyon, who's playing like the number 1 right now. So it will be interesting to see how they manage this 3 goalie tandem moving forward. But remember, we're going back to Monday episodes. So the next 3 games, you got Wednesday versus Calgary, Friday versus Chicago, and then a 1:00 Sunday game versus Chicago. Me and the wife will be in attendance for that one. Quick drink, and then we'll move on here. I think I'm doing pretty good. 17 minutes in. Haven't really coughed or had any issues yet. But before we dive into the second part of this episode, and we're kind of flying through this, and the second part might take a bit. We're going to go over our one and only sponsor of this episode, Tap That Tap Room, at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. They offer a variety of beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages. And since I'm riding solo, I do double duty here. Wednesday is Geeks Who Drink Trivia starting at 7:30. Remember, follow their Facebook page because they post a clue for what the trivia is going to be about by a 1-word answer. Thursday is the Bills watch party. Remember, it's a Thursday night game this week. Go there, sound on all the TVs playing them on every single screen. When you go to Tap That Tap Room, you know exactly why you're there. It's for the watch party. Halftime jersey giveaway. Friday is DJ Nightlight. 7 to 12, I believe it is. They also post what type of music they're going to be playing then. Also Friday, it's brand new. 5 to 7 is happy hour. Make sure you head out there for the brand new 5 to 7 happy hour menu. And then Sunday is the Euchre tournament, 1:00. Make sure you're in attendance and go win some money. Go win some prizes there. So to find out what else they got coming up, check out their Facebook page because there's a ton of stuff coming up, especially with the holiday season. And to find out what's on tap and what's on deck, check out tapthattaproom.com. Another drink. I'm pulling solo duty here, guys. I was talking to my wife before this. I don't know how one-woman podcasts do it. I hate going solo, but we're pulling solo duty today, and we'll see how this goes. Bandits made some moves. They released 6 players from their training camp roster. David Burr, Matt Duncan, Liam Keeney, Jaden Kennedy, Liam Linden, and Jacob Rosa. That leaves their roster at 27. Now, they need to be down to 21-4. It's a total of 25 players by Monday. Spanger, I believe he's still on the IR, but if he's not, he's likely going to start on the IR from his injury last year. Really, that leaves one spot. Are they going to carry 4 goalies at the moment? It seems likely because I don't think going into a season where you're trying for a four-peat, you're going to rely on Evan C. or Shaganash to be your backup behind Matt Vince. I believe it's going to be Steve Orleman. That means you got 2 guys that have not played a single second of NLL action that you're very high on. I believe 2 roster or practice squad spots are going to be taken up by 2 goaltenders that you're hoping do not see any action this entire year, because that means Matt Vince is fully healthy, and that means Steve Orleman's continuing to back him up. So the big question is, who's going to earn that last spot? Carter Coffey's still in camp. You still got Mike Trillo in camp. You still got Coltrane Tyson. I want to say his name backwards, but it's Coltrane Tyson in camp. I heard he was playing transition in this last game. Maybe we'll see a trade before the weekend's over. Maybe that's why they're still sitting at 27 guys right now. But I did the count. A lot of teams are still well above the mark. I think Colorado is well over 30 right now. So they still need to make moves, but the roster is shaping up. You can kind of see what this roster is looking like, unless there's some type of injury that we do not know about, and they'll go to the IR. Maybe there's some kind of holdout. You never know exactly what's going on behind the scenes of an NLL team, especially but the Buffalo Bandits. You never know. So stay tuned on Monday. It'll be after we get done recording, more than likely, to find out what the roster looks like, and then we'll have time to go over that, hopefully with my interview next week with a unknown or an unnamed interviewee so far. But bold predictions, every year we've done this podcast, I think it's 5 years now covering this team, we do 3 bold predictions each, and I'm going to go over Phil's first, and let me pull him up right here. I don't have all his notes for it, but I'll talk about what I think they actually are, and I actually got to pull up the right ones real quick. Sorry, guys, because I remember he changed them after I put the notes together. Got to pull up the graphic and social images. This is great podcasting. I'm so happy I did this. There it is. And pulling it up. Is this it? That is not it. That is not it. Oh, yeah, guys. We're cranking right now. Hang on. I believe I know what they are. Let me pull them up on my phone, because I'd for sure have them on my phone. There we go. Got them. Got them. All right, I'm going over Phil's 3 bold predictions for the NLL season, and then I'll go over mine. His number 1 NLL bold prediction for the 2025-26 season: 3 goalies will finish below 10 goals against average. It could be any 10. But if I'm going off just the top of my head right now, what 3 goaltenders I believe will finish below 10, if that's his bold prediction, if I'm sitting in Phil's body right now, which 3 goaltenders will be below 10? You got Christian Elbianco, who's going to be around 9.5. That would be not shocking. I think he was under 9 in his 6 games last year in the regular season that he got with Vancouver. Frank Scigliano, that's a name that could be out there. Defending goaltender of the year. You got Nick Rose. That could be one. Does Matt Vince come back and just shine out in possibly his last season? I mean, you got Doug Jamieson, who could be coming back strong. And Chris Riglieri, who knows how long he's going to be being able to play with firefighter obligations on the horizon. That could be also. So there's a bunch of sneaky picks, not even sneaky, top line goaltenders that could be below 10 goals a game average. I truly believe that bold prediction is probably going to hit. His second one, and I'm a big fan of this guy. I'm a big fan of this prediction, and I do think this prediction is going to be right. His season was cut short last year, but Callum Jones will lead the league in caused turnovers. You only saw 9 games out of Callum Jones last year. I fully believe that if he's a full-time player this year, playing in all 18, with that type of team that he has, that is built up the back end, I do believe that Callum Jones can lead this league in caused turnovers. Who knows what that number is going to be? I probably put it around 35 to 40. Can he get to that number if he's fully healthy? I fully believe he can, because he's going to be playing on special teams. He's going to be out there on every shift. He's going to be out there on some of the top guys in the entire league. Callum Jones, I fully believe. I do not know if this is going to hit because it's such a tough ask out of one player to get that many caused turnovers and to pick one out of the vast majority of the NLL defenders out there that get a ton of caused turnovers, that it would be Callum Jones. But again, that's why these are bold predictions. The last one, big fan of this one as well. I just don't know if he's going to reach this number because of how much talent they brought in. But if anybody can do it, it's going to be producer Donnie. And John Donville will finish with 100 or more points in the NLL season. He's got the help around him right now. Does Jack Hanna come back? Even if he doesn't, you added Mitch Jones, you added Chase Frazier, you added Chris Cloutier to that lineup that already has the vast amount of talent that's out there. Casey Jackson's still sitting out there. We put out the tweet of what UFAs are still sitting out there today. He's still sitting out there. Holden Catoni's still sitting out there. So they did lose some players, but they also brought in a ton of talent. The question is the ball going to be in his stick enough to get to that 100 points, or is he going to become the second, third, fourth fiddle on that team? I think he's talented enough to be the second or third fiddle on that team, but we'll see. But I do like that prediction. It's a bold prediction. Now we're going to go over mine. Those are Phil's 3 bold predictions. Again, 3 goalies to finish below 10 goals against average. Callum Jones leads the league in caused turnovers, and John Donville finishes with 100 points. We'll go over mine now. And I like mine. I put a ton of thought into mine. I went back and forth multiple times. But my 3 bold predictions for the NLL season, I have 1 player who wins an award prediction, 1 team prediction, and 1 just solo player prediction. 1 second. I don't know how people do this. This is insane. I'm talking for 26 minutes, and I still got a ton of info to toss out in all your guys' faces here. My number 1, it is my award prediction. Jesse King will win MVP. Now, how did I pick just Jesse King? Last year, 30, 75, and 105 with Calgary. Now he's littered with talent out there, and that's not saying Calgary didn't have talent on the offensive side with Tyler Pace and Dane Dobie and Tanner Cook and Hayden Dixon and so on and so forth. Curtis Dixon, if I didn't mention him, I think I did, but again, don't know because I'm fine. So now with talent of Keegan Ball, you got Adam Charlambides, you got Peyton Cormier, Curtis Dixon, Marcus Claridge, Ryan Sheridan, Ryan Martell, both of the Ryans. He's going to be the lead ball carrier on the left-hand side, and that's a lot of players that can put the ball on the back of the net. That's a lot of players that can set up the pass, that's secondary assist. Now, you might be thinking, Christian Del Bianco sitting out there, or Dane Smith, or Jeff Teat, and Vancouver is the new hotness. So I do think that plays a factor into it. A lot of eyes on Vancouver. I think Vancouver's a big market for this league. And everyone's eyes are going to be on this team for that exact reason. I believe King can go up and over 130 points on the year. And if Vancouver gets that number 1 seed and goes, say, 15-3 or even 14-4, and if he remains healthy this entire season, I think he's the main guy on that team leading the way to that number 1 seed going out the front door. Now, I would have loved to shake it up and go on a non-forward. But besides Christian Del Bianco, to win this MVP award, the only other non-forward was Steve Dietrich back in 2006. It doesn't go to anybody else unless you had a fabulous, unbelievable season like Christian Del Bianco did a few years back. I think on top of my bold prediction of MVP, I think he goes 38, 93 on 131 points. And maybe vary in there, but I think to get MVP, the team needs to be the number 1 seed. The team needs to go like 14-4 or 15-3, and he needs to have at least 130 points to get MVP. But I do think that's very capable. I do think he's capable of it, and with the talent that's there and the eyes that are going to be on Vancouver this year, because that market has to hit, and the players and the fans need to draw to that market, and what Kurt Malowski's doing to that team, the eyes and the predictions are all on this team right now, and you have to go for it. So that is my number 1 bold prediction for the NLL season so far. I'm talking a lot, guys. I know. I swear I don't know how people do this. I was talking before. I don't know how people do this. Philly will average under 10 goals a game. And yes, I get it. Even squeakers go through. But here, I broke down and I did some math. This is how much I pay attention and I work on these bold predictions because I really want them to hit. But they are bold for a reason. Last year, they scored 207 goals. That was good for 11.5 goals a game. So somehow they need to subtract 1.5 goals a game. You removed Mitch Jones and his 31 goals. Colton Catoni's gone, even though he was gone the majority of the last season. I should say half the season, 21 goals. Malcolm's gone with his 1. Mitch DeSnoo already said he's not going to play with Philly, so that's 3. Simpson's gone in Vancouver, that's 2. And Crawford had 1 in his solo game. That's 148 goals that are now gone. They only brought in Eric Fennell. That's 5. That's back up to 153. Just there alone, they're at 8.5. So somehow you need to find 27 more goals there to get you up to 180, and that's 10 goals a game. And I, for the life of me, cannot find 180 goals. Joe Resetar's 41 last year. Brennan O'Neill had 25. Blaze had 21. Does Blaze do that again? I don't know. Caputo had 25. Does he do that again? If you want to add in Sam LeClaire, who had 16, his numbers probably bump up a bit. Dalton Young probably bumps up a bit. Michael Sowers probably bumps up a bit. But then you had Patton with 2, Messenger with 2, Pace 1, McConnell had 4, Domini if he comes back, and sounds like he's going to be probably back sometime in January or February. Domini had 4 and Corbeil had 1. The math ain't mathin' for me. I don't see how they reach 180, and saying that they don't even reach 180, maybe that's piling on Philly too much, but I just don't think that this is going to be a team that can put the ball in the back of the net, and I think that's going to suffer on the back end because their defense is going to be out there a ton, because when you're not scoring, you're not getting the faceoffs to win the faceoffs, and not getting secondary chances on the offense. Nick DeMood's going to get peppered with shots. I think Deacon Knott's going to be playing a lot. I think it could be a 50-50 time split back there because Deacon Knott's getting unfairly treated back there because of the shots on net for a 3rd consecutive season in Philly's defense. But I don't see, and when we went over their preview and offseason review, I was like, I don't know what Philly is. I don't think they know what Philly is right now. I don't know what this offense is really going to look like. And yes, Resetar's is unbelievable. Can he have another career season this year? Wouldn't put it past him. Brennan O'Neill, 2nd year playing box. Can he get up over 30 goals? I pretty much pegged him too. But I just don't see where the other goals are coming from. I don't think Blaze is going to put up another 20-goal season. I don't think Caputo is going to put up another 20-goal season. Sam LeClaire, I think, can get up over 20. But that's 3 guys that are putting up over 20 goals a game. Or 20 goals on the season. I think Philly finishes below 10 goals a game. And if that's true, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do in next offseason and see what happens with the coaching staff. And I know Tracy Kelusky is a fantastic offensive coordinator that they have out there, an assistant coach. I just don't think the talent is there to get them up and over 180 goals. That's going to be something that I track all years, but that is my second bold prediction. My third, and Phil was very angry I got to this one first because when he was changing his bold predictions, because one of them I was like, I don't think that's bold enough. I really don't think that's bold enough. And the second one was, well, we're already doing the standings predictions. You're already doing your prediction there. You might want to subtract that. So he was going to go with this, and then he realized I already had it. Real quick. For those listening, I'm taking a drink of water every time I say real quick, so go watch YouTube. Fix the blurriness. And YouTube, go watch that. There we go. Number 3, and I've kind of hinted at this the last couple episodes. My last and final bold prediction for the NLL season. Ryan Smith will crack 60 goals on the year. Now, this might not seem like a bold prediction, but when you look at the history of the league, it is pretty darn bold. And to say that he's doing it does not mean that Jeff Teat's not doing it. But I didn't pick Jeff Teat because he's been up and over 50 multiple times the last 3 years, and I'll go over that in a second. But Ryan Smith, I think, will crack the 60-goal mark. Could it get to 65? Possibly. There's just so much talent in Rochester right now. No player has gotten over 60 goals since 2016. That was when Dixon got 61 and Dane Smith got 72, which still stands as a record. In fact, in the history of the league, only 4 players have ever gotten up and over 60 goals. And that was Dane with 72 in 2016. Ethan Anucci, 71 in 2008. That was the record that Dane Smith beat. Gary Gate, 61 in 2003. And Curtis Dixon, 61 in 2016. Teat has come the closest with, in 2023, 24, and 25, he scored 58, 56, and 56. Fields got to 56 in 2024, but with that team, with Zed Williams to get him freed up, because it sounds like he's going to be back there opening night. I really think he can be the first guy in 10 years to get up and over 60. Again, I still think Jeff T also does, but again, I didn't think that was bold enough. I think Ryan Smith is the other one to get up and over 60. Could there be two players up and over 60? I believe there could be, and I believe Ryan Smith will be one of, if not the only one, will be one of two, because I do think Jeff T gets over 60 as well. But Ryan Smith will crack the 60 goal mark. So my 3 NLL Bold predictions for the 2025-26 season is Jesse King will win MVP. I already went over my reasons why. Philadelphia Wings will average under 10 goals a game, and Ryan Smith will crack 60 goals on the season. So that graphic will be posted on the social media sites when you're looking for him. You can track all year long, and then midway through the season, I believe we also review how we're doing, and then at the end of the season, we review how we did and how bad we were wrong. And that's everybody's favorite episode, because I think last year we were 1 of 5 in these ones. But again, it's bold for a reason, guys. It's bold for a reason. They're supposed to be tough to get. And we'll move on. Last part here. NLL standings predictions. And I think we did a pretty good job the last couple of years. I don't have the stats. I should have brought up the stats on how we did, but I believe I was 7 of 8 and Phil was 6 of 8 last year, getting at least the teams right. I think I only nailed one of them, and I think it was Georgia with the 7 seed. But to cut to the chase, I think everybody has the same top 3, and I believe everybody has the same bottom 2. And there's nothing weird about what we're doing here. We have the same 3 as everybody else out there, and we have the same bottom 2 as everybody else out there. I don't think there's anything fishy going on here. It's not like we're just doing it for clicks. If you're just doing it for clicks or have different bottom 2 or top 3, I think you're doing something wrong, or you're just putting your fandom hat on. We'll start with the number 14 seed. Phil and I have the exact same number 14 seed, the Philadelphia Wings. We both believe that they're going to be the worst team this year. You can see by my bold prediction, 10 goals under a game is what I have them pegged for. But we don't know what they are. I don't think they know what they are. And I think they're in full rebuild/retool mode with that team, because the last 2 years they've poured a ton of money. And Paul Day was even on Last Class explaining it. We put a ton of money in free agency, brought a ton of guys in, and it didn't work. And Phil and I have been not a fan of the Philadelphia Wings the last 2 seasons. Two off seasons ago, we're not seeing what everybody else is seeing, and then they fell. And then last year, they started that 5-1 stretch, and we're like, I still don't think they're this good. But they added Mitch DeSnew and Chris Corbeil, and I love the moves they made because they were all in, and it didn't end up working. But you tried to get in. That's all I can ever ask of a team, is either go one way or the other. Don't sit middle. And they're at the bottom right now for a reason. They're the 14th seed in our prediction. Number 13, again, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, Calgary Roughnecks. Their entire team flipped on its head from last year, but especially if you look back the last couple of years, a lot of players have left Calgary. A lot of players have been traded out of Calgary. I think they are already one step ahead of where Philly wants to be. I think their defense has gotten better. I want to see what Aiden Walsh looks like in front of a defense like this. I think their offense is going to struggle to put the ball in the back of the net. But if Tyler Pace is actually playing, and it sounds like he signed that franchise tag, maybe it came with a condition of you will not franchise me the following year, but I will play for you this year. No idea. That's just my best guess, because otherwise I figured he was going to be sitting on the couch taking up the spot that Christian Del Bianco left behind. I like Bennett Smith. I like Braden Lady on the back end. Tanner Cook on the front end. Hayden Dixon, let's see what he does. Tyler Pace up there. I want to see what Maya does this year up on and Noah Manning, especially with the rookie up there. I'm very interested to see. I'm going to pull up all the numbers right now, so I'm not just going on memory of who plays for each team, because that would be a little foolish when I have all the information right ahead of me. Scrolling up to the top, because of course I'm at the very bottom, but I do think they're going to struggle scoring goals, but you're looking at the rest of the team. I am interested to see how this defense looks. It's either the last year of Eli Salama or Tyler Pace in that organization. The other one is going to get franchise tag next year. But again, Aiden Walsh is probably going to be the number 1 player to watch in that system, because is he what we saw in Vancouver, or was a lot of that the help from the defensive end? So Calgary is a big team to watch, interesting-wise. I think they're going to be very fun to watch for that reason. This is where we start differing. I should go over the number 1 seed. Number 1 seed, we'll go over the bottom 2 and then the top 3 because that's what everybody has. Number 1 seed, we have the Vancouver Warriors. Both Phil and I agree on this one. We think they are the best team going in. Their defense is unbelievable. They have the best goaltender in the league, and they fixed the major issue that they had last year, which was the offense. They bring in a Jesse King. They bring in a Curtis Dixon. They have Adam Charlambides. They have Keegan Ball. I already went over those names. That's another year in the system with Marcus Claridge. When you push Ryan Martell so far down the lineup, and he's like your 4th or 5th option on the offensive side of the ball, it's ridiculous how talented this team is. If they are not everybody's number 1 seed, they sure as heck better be number 2 because this team is so ridiculous. The only thing really that can stop this team from not just making the playoffs, but making a deep playoff run is injuries. That could be the only thing really that stops this team. Or if a guy like Curtis Dixon just hits a wall, and I do not see that happening, or the offense just doesn't click. I do not see that happening either. This team is just too good to fail expectations. At the very worst, I think a 3 seed, and that's if things go drastically wrong. So Vancouver is our number 1 seed. Number 2 seed, the Saskatchewan Rush. And this is a team that nobody is really talking about. And maybe that's just us East Coasters thinking that way, and it's not happening on the West Coast. But it just seems like Saskatchewan is going under the radar. And I think a big reason for that is they didn't really do anything this offseason. Their biggest move was bringing in Levi Virch, who was the 13th overall pick for their team. That was their biggest move. Otherwise, they brought everybody back. Robert Church and Ryan Keenan were their big, and I should say NMJ, were their big UFAs, and all of them are back. They're another year in this system. They trade Mike Triolo out, giving Levi Anderson or Josh Zawada more time up there. And yes, I know Anderson's a lefty, but if you take a righty out of the lineup in Triolo, maybe you go 4 strong on the left-hand side. It's a team that even Brock Haley coming over last year in his rookie season, another year in this. Austin Shanks, another year in this system. Zach Mans, he was very close to being an MVP candidate for me for my bold predictions as well. It just didn't lean that way because I don't think they're going to have a guy that goes up and over 110, 120 points. They had 4 guys up and over 70 points last year, and I think Robert Church would have gotten up and over 80 if he would have played all 18 games. But I think a big reason why they're so quiet is because they didn't do anything. If you get another year of goaltender of the year caliber Frank Scigliano in this organization, they're going to be another team that takes a deep run into the playoffs. And if you're the Buffalo Bandits fans, then we got a ton of them that listen to the show. You're wondering, okay, how is the defending 3-time straight champions not 1 or 2? And it has nothing to do with the lack of talent that they have in their organization and on their team. It just has to do with so much talent and so many teams gotten better. This, hands down, is going to be, and maybe this is another bold prediction, the best NLL season we have ever seen because of the talent that's there. There's really, if you think about it, when we're going over these standings predictions, there's 2 teams that I just cannot see making the playoffs. There's 12 that I can, varying from 1 to 8. It was so tough beyond the top 3 and the bottom 2. But we got Buffalo coming in at number 3, and I think a big reason that they dropped a bit is because of the uncertainty of what this offense looked like. For so long, Phil and I were sitting in the offseason just going, there's not much to talk about because it's the same team. There's no open spots. Why do they keep drafting all of these guys? Chase Frazier goes out the door. Chris Cloutier goes out the door. Both of those guys go to Vegas. Justin Martin sounds like he's hanging him up. He will not be back. This is the first time since we started covering this team in 5 years that we have something to talk about with this offense looking different, with this defense looking different. The big question was Matt Vince coming back? And that was answered. But now you're looking, okay, you bring in a Ryan Benesh. How does he gel on the left-hand side with Josh Byrne and Ian McKay and Clay Scanlon over there as well? Does he relieve him a bit? He is an elder statesman, but he can still put the ball in the back of the net like nobody's business. You're looking at the right side now. You do not have Chase Frazier anymore. Token Anacoke's going to have to step up. I think they're going to be asking Lucas Nielsen to step up. If he doesn't, I think Mike Triolo is the fallback option as Nielsen is not ready. And then Kyle Buchanan comes back for another season. The water bug back there that we think is irreplaceable on this team. If you would have lost Chase Frazier and Chris Cloutier and Kyle Buchanan, this would be a different story. They would not be in the number 3 spot, but he's back. It's they're, to me, at the number 3 spot, less to do with their talent and more to do with the unknown right now of how this offense looks. And you got Dane Smith, you got Drishburn, you got Ian McKay. I'm not worried about their offense struggling whatsoever. It's just, how long does it take for these guys to jive? And yeah, Ryan Benesh has been in the system before, so it can only take so long. These guys play through the summer and so on and so forth. They know each other very well. But it's just, how does this offense glue together? How does a player like Justin Martin exit affect the defensive side of the ball? Because he was a very big part of this. He didn't put up points. I think he had, 3 goals last year for the first time in his career. I don't think he's ever had 3 goals in his entire career. But who replaces that guy in the back end? I mean, he didn't put up the box score numbers, but he was locking down the best defenseman, or the best offensive forward. He is a big reason why Buffalo won that third game, because Austin Shanks completely got shut down when Justin Martin got put on him in the third game. Losing him is massive. But I won't dive too deep into Buffalo, because that's what we're going to be doing on the Monday show. They're our number 3 seed. Now we'll go back to the bottom, because that was our top 3. We got our bottom 2. We'll start from the 12 spot up now, because this is where we differ. And the number 12 spot, and I'm going to talk about my perspective rather than Phil's, because I'll be talking about that when his spot's there, my spot's there. I'll be talking about the team there anyway. So in the number 12 spot, Phil has Las Vegas. I have the Georgia Swarm. And a big reason I have Georgia Swarm in the number 12 spot, and we're going to be able to talk about that a ton next week, because that's Buffalo Bandits' first matchup, and we're going to be talking about Nick Kloss on Wednesday. Make sure you listen to that interview. But Georgia Swarm, I think, have done a total retool, and they made big news this last week with Lyle Thompson, and after we recorded John Rannigan, we found out he retired, and Jeremy Thompson and Miles Thompson won't be back, and Joey Capito got hurt in the offseason, and so on and so forth. So they're going through a major shakeup, and you're looking at their roster as I go forward, and we kind of already dove into it a bit, but you're looking at it and you go, this offense is going to look completely different. Who's playing on the right side besides, Lyle Thompson? You got Caleb Benedict, who's a 19th overall pick in 2023, but he's got very little time there. Keenan Moon, you got Jake Taylor over there. You got Ben Trumbull, who's a transition guy, but he's going to maybe he plays some forward up there. The righty forwards right now are very questionable, especially if Connor Kelly actually does not play for this team. You're looking at the left side. Yeah, you got the Shane Jackson, you got the Brian Cole, but you no longer have the Andrew Q. You're going to have to rely on other guys to step up. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to see what Nolan Byrne turns into, the 8th overall pick this last draft. But the offense is going to be very interesting to track, because there's so many new pieces. There's 3 guys to hold over in Thompson, in Jackson, and in Cole. Beyond that, it's they're for a team that already struggled scoring the ball consistently. It's going to be very interesting. Again, I'm not knocking them, because I've been calling for them to make changes for the last 2 or 3 years. The defensive side got so young. I mean, I'm going to ask Pat Gregoire about this in the interview that's coming out on Thursday, but I think they have 14 first or second round picks in their lineup from just the last 3 years, and a lot of them are on the back end. I love what they decided to do with retooling this entire organization, especially with the unknown of what happens next year with Lyle Thompson, who can reject the franchise tag, who's going to be a UFA. I love it. It's going to be a very interesting decision if they put all their eggs in one big basket to start, and instead of focusing on the offense, say, this year, and the defense next year, it's kind of, we're focusing on the offense and defense in the same year, and we'll see what happens. But that is why I have them in the number 12 spot. Not because I do not like what they're doing. I just think they're going to struggle this year trying to figure out, okay, these players fit the system, these players are going to take that next step, and these players are going to be shown the door. I think that's the biggest aspect of that. And we'll go over where Phil has them in just a second. But in the number 11 spot, Phil has the Colorado Mammoth. I have the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. So Phil has them 12. I have them 11. And here's the reason why. We went over what their offense is going to look like. I absolutely love their offense. I think they're going to put up a ton of goals. And for a team that plays in Las Vegas, they're going to be so stinking entertaining. Chris Kluche on the left-hand side. You got Mitch Jones on the left-hand side. You got Adam Patra, if he plays up on the left-hand side. Jackson Webster on the left-hand side, who I was really a fan of his game last year. And then you look at the right-hand side. Jonathan Dodville, Chase Frazier, Kyle Killen, who we always forget about. You got Mellish if he makes the team, and Sean Wesley. And then that's not even talking about if you have a if Jack Hanna signs with this team, and I know there's a lot of talk about him going to Colorado, but if they're able to convince him to come back to Las Vegas, this offense can be one of the top 5 in the entire league. And I think that's what they're going to need to be if they want to make the playoffs, because the back end and the goaltending is the big question marks right now. Yes, you bring in John LaFontaine. Yes, you get Connor Kerrs back. Yes, there's a few good pieces on the back end. I still think Adam Patra plays best in the transition role, but we'll see if he's full-time up there. Connor Sellers comes in. I think there was a sneaky under-the-radar signing. Drew Belgrave's there for an entire season this year. It's just going to be, to me, if one of the 4 goaltenders that they have in camp right now, and yes, I'm including Alex Bouquet in the lineup, Caleb Kahn, 18-year-old, I do not see him starting the season as number 1 goaltender. Justin Geddy, injured to start last season, came on slow, ended up replacing Kells a lot. Kells in that lineup. If one of those goaltenders can step up and be consistent, and what I mean by consistent, give me a 78 save percentage. If you can do that, I do think this team can get to the playoffs. It's just we haven't been able to see that out of the goaltender position. I do not think their defense is big enough and it's good enough to outplay their shaky goaltending, and I do not think they're going to be able to win a ton of 18 to 17 games. Yes, I think they're capable of putting up 17, 18 goals, but if you're letting in 17 or 18 goals every single game, it's going to be very interesting to track this team this year. If they did enough, they're my most improved team, and we said this on the last episode. They took their team from a D to a B, and Vancouver took it from a B to an A. So they're their most improved team. I just don't know if they did enough to get into the playoffs, and that is why I have them in the 11th seed. So far, Philly's 14 for me. Calgary's 13 for me. Georgia's 12. Las Vegas is in 11. We're going to make our way. Final 2 spots missing from the playoffs. Phil has Georgia. I had them 12. I have the Colorado Mammoth in the 10 spot. Phil had them in the 11 spot. So we do have the same teams missing playoffs that we do making playoffs. So our 10 to 14 are the same teams. They're just from 10 to 12 are in a little bit different order. Colorado, why? And it's pretty simple. I think their offense went through massive change. And not think, I know. Connor Robinson's out the door. He got traded to San Diego. You do not have Eli McLaughlin in the lineup right now with Firefighter School. You had Andrew Q is addition, but Connor Kelly is out the door. You do not have Tyson Gibson, and sorry, I do not have all these off the top of my head right now. A lot of the offensive pieces have changed. The only 2 sticking points right now are Will Malcolm and Ryan Lee. And Ryan Lee has been hurt so often, but he back and amazing last year. But you add in an Andrew Q. I do think that helps their offense a ton. But what does the rest of the offense look like? That's the thing. You trade for a Dylan McIntosh to play on the right-hand side to be that number 2 behind Ryan Lee. You have a Brendan Saris, and I saw the preseason game on Saturday. He was leading the power play, but I think a lot of that is just to wanting to see what he has. But I mean, he was the 5th overall pick this last year. How much can you rely on him in this offense? Andrew Q on the left hand side, Will Malcolm are the number 2. So you know your number 1 and 2 on the right hand side. McIntosh is a shaky number 2. Brandon Saris, I think, ends up being that number 2 on the right hand side. But then you look at the left hand side, beyond Q and Malcolm, what do you have on that left-hand side right now? You got Simpson. Does he make the team? You got McDonald. Does he make the team? Former 34th overall pick in 2023. You got James Bucktooth, 30th overall pick this last year. What does this offense actually look like? And I was counting on Connor Robinson to be there. I understand he got moved to San Diego. I get that. But the offense, I do not think without Eli McLaughlin is good enough to make the playoffs. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I do not think that they're the worst offense, but I do not think this offense can counteract the young defensive core that they're building with the Connor Knock coming in as 10th overall pick. I do like what they're doing on the back end side. I just do not think they're ready yet. Unless you get a Dylan Ward that can stand on his head and be a goaltender of the year category player, I do not think this team is going to make the playoffs. Could be wrong. I had them making it last year and I was let down. But I think they're going to struggle this year to be consistent. And I think when you're not consistent, I think you're going to finish with a 10-8 type of season, 7-11 type of season, and just be on the edge. Still in contention to make playoffs, but I think they're going to fall short. The one team, And the last remaining team that misses the playoffs, and Phil and I both have them at the number 9 seed, are the San Diego Seals. And I think a ton of the reason, at least for me, and I'll speak for Phil here as well, I don't know how long you have Chris O'Reilly for. And he went through all the firefighter training. He's looking for a job right now. Who knows how quickly that process goes. But if you lose Chris O'Reilly, you sign Steve Fryer, but you bring in a Cam Dunkerley. When that trade went down where they sent out Rob Hellier, I was like, why are you getting a goaltender when you already have Chris O'Reilly there? I know Mike Poulin retired, but it seems like sending out Rob Hellier for a number 2 goaltender was a bit question mark. Now it makes sense because you might not have Chris O'Reilly all season long. If you don't have him, it's going to be very shaky. But you're looking at the forward group right now, and I'm not going to touch on Austin Stotts because who knows what that situation is going to resolve for, if he's even going to be back. I know they qualified, offered him, plus him, but that's to keep him in the organization so nobody else can sign it. But you're looking at this right now. The signing of Corey Small and the trading of Connor Robinson, I think, were the biggest signings for this team, because what does it do besides add some stability on the left-hand side? It gives you the ability to push Trent DeChico and Zach Currier back in the transition game, playing defensive and tranny, so you're able to rely on your back end more. They were so injured last year. I'm excited to see Patrick Shumay back in the lineup because I think he's completely underrated. When we did the dynasty draft for picking players, he was one of the defensive players that I picked. I think he's drastically underrated. But you're relying on a Corey Small who struggled with Toronto last year to be consistent. Yes, he had 1 or 2 blow-up games. But beyond that, it seemed like he lost a touch. I was wondering if he was going to hang him up. You got Dylan Watson, who came over midway through the season from Las Vegas. You got Connor Robinson on the left-hand side. You got Jake Govett, who can rough it up there. So the left-hand side will be interesting to track. The right-hand side, which Kavanaughs are going to be in the lineup? Because you got Trey LeClaire, you got Westberg, and you got Ben McIntosh. They are not coming out of the lineup. It's going to be very interesting to see, do they go 4 lefties or 4 righties? But then you got the back end. I'm very excited and interested to see what their back end looks like because they were so injured last year. Trevor Baptiste, hopefully you get him for a full 18. Zach Deakin comes over from a trade with Ottawa last year. Another season in this system. Graydon Bradley's back in this system. You got Burkhoff. Does he crack the lineup? You got Eli Grobrecht back in this system. Kellen LeClaire, who's a very underrated defender. Danny Logan, who just re-upped for 3 years. There are a ton of talent and first-round draft picks littered all over this team. It just comes down to Annette and Chris O'Reilly. How long do you have him? We're down to 5 teams. We're going 8 to 4 now because we have Vancouver, Saskatchewan, and Buffalo 1 through 3. Number 8 for Phil is the Toronto Rock. And that was his one bold prediction that I said, you're already going to be making a bold prediction that they're making the playoffs. And I went, I don't think that's bold enough because so many people have Toronto making the playoffs. So he's pivoted, and that's why he ended up going with the 3 he did. Number 8 seed for me, I have Halifax Thunderbirds. Why? Again, what we've been talking about nonstop now. It's in net. I don't think Warren Hill or Hutchcraft are good enough in net to get them done. I just do not think that a pairing of Hutchcraft and Hill is talented enough. We've seen it for years. Like, we know what they are. They're expecting different results, doing the same thing over and over. Again, I understand there wasn't a big goaltender market. I think they pushed their hand as hard as they could for Nick Rose, and it didn't work out, so he resulted back in Warren Hill. But it comes down to multiple things. And originally when I did this, I had them missing the playoffs, but I went, this team's too talented to miss the playoffs. But I do think they take a step back from where they were last year. And they got off to that hot start last year that they normally do not, and they have to pull themselves out of it. But you're looking at the offense right now. Brendan Bomberry is going to be filling in with Randy Stats until he's fully healthy from his injury in the championship of the summer ball. I think you got Clark Peterson. He's a drastically underrated righty forward right now in this league. Thomas Hogarth signs up for 3 more years with this team. Brendan Bomberry, like I mentioned, is going to fill in that spot. But the lefties right now, it's so crowded over there on the left-hand side. Bo Hunter, there's a lot of conversation on Bo Hunter. Not going to touch on that, but Cody Jameson's back for another. Jason Knox, you got Mil McLeod, who's the 12th overall pick. How much time does he get in there? You got Mike Robinson, who I think is going to have an unbelievable second season his sophomore year. And then, Dawson Thied, who missed a few games and was an absolute animal out there. I've said it multiple times. I don't know how a man that big moves the way he does. Backhand side, if they're able to stay disciplined, I think that bumps them up a few spots in the seedings, but this is a team that you know what to expect with it. You know that they're going to be getting shaky goaltending, sometimes consistent, sometimes inconsistent, and then you're going to get undisciplined play at the worst times on the back end because you have some hotheads back there. I think Halifax is the number 8 seed. I can see them bumping up a bit if they're goaltending and they stay disciplined, but I do not think that this is a team that can win a championship. And I think what they're really hoping for is next offseason that you can convince a Lyle Thompson to come play for Halifax. If you're able to do that and you get that righty side, adding Lyle Thompson in there, I think it's a culture changer and a big statement move by Halifax Thunderbirds. Number 7 seed. This is where I have the Toronto Rock. Phil has Ottawa, and I'll talk about Ottawa in a few minutes here. Toronto Rock, number 7 seed. They get pretty much the majority of their players back. Who knows what actually happens with Mitch Desnew? I think he ends up back in Toronto, but that's another story. You bring back a Nick Rose in net, which I think is a big piece because you saw what Holochuk was, and that wasn't bad, but the defense is going to be locked in. It's going to come down to, can this team get back to what they were before their tumble last year to 6-12, because you've rebuilt the offense in pretty much one offseason. The defense is back with, minus Chris Corbeil. Maybe you get Mitch Desnew back. Goaltender, you don't have to worry about. Defense, you don't have to worry about. The right-hand side of the forward group. Right now, your number 3 option is Challen Rogers. I hate that move because I think Challen Rogers offers more value. Same with Adam Patra, and same with Ian McKay. I think Ian McKay, now that he has proven his worth on the left-hand side and how dominant he can be over there, finals MVP for a reason. But I hated that move originally because I thought he added more value to the team by being a defensive trainee player. I think that's the same position with Challen Rogers. I think they're waiting on Sam English to prove, okay, I can be that third option for the righty forwards. But right now, it's Josh Dowick, it's Chris Boucher, and it's Challen Rogers on the right-hand side. That scares me on how shallow they actually are. And then you're looking at the lefties. Mark Matthews sounds like he's completely back to former Mark Matthews before the injury to his shoulders last year. But then you re-signed Dan Craig. I was expecting that, but I wasn't expecting a 3-year deal from him. But Owen Hiltz, who I think a lot of people were predicting, rookie of the year. I think that's not a bold prediction anymore. I think that's what everybody's favorite pick right now is because he's so darn talented. And then CJ Kurz, the number 1 and the number 3 overall picks from this last draft. If they're able to come in and be a consistent presence that produces on the left-hand side, I think this team is a team that you do not want to face in the first round of a do or die in the playoffs. I think there are going to be some growing pains on the forward group. There definitely will be because they're young players getting into the box game in the NLL. But I do think that this team has what it takes and has the talent to get back into the playoffs. Last year I had them take a step back, I think at the 4th or 5th seed. Nobody thought they were going to finish 6-12. 0-5 start, I think it was. But I do think that this team can be a very dangerous team in the playoffs that you do not want to face. We got 3 teams left, and I'm up and over an hour talking, and definitely feeling it. Number 6 seed, Phil has Oshawa. I have the Ottawa Black Bears. Phil had them 7. I have them 6. And the big reason for that is they finally got Jeff Teat some help. I have them finally making the playoffs, and it's not going to be by the skin of their teeth. I think they're going to go 10-8 or 11-7, get solidified into a playoff spot, but with like 2 or 3 weeks to go. And the big reason for that is Rob Hellier. I think that is such an underrated move that went under the radar because of the CBA negotiations that were going on. Rob Hellier going over and playing that right-hand side is going to allow and force the defense to not just shadow and push to the left-hand side to stop Jeff Teat. Now they have a legit threat on the right-hand side. Not only does that give them the threat on the right-hand side, it pushes all the righties down a bit. Connor Kiernan doesn't have to be the ball carrier. You can be that mucking up in front of the net. You have the Jacob Dunbar, where he's not going to have to be relied upon to put the ball in the back of the net 4 or 5 times a game, and it's going to have him be more of a catch and shoot type of player rather than having to carry the ball. It's going to push Riley O'Connor fully healthy back to Jeff Teat. It's going to push Larson Sundown. It's pushing all this talent down a peg. Now they don't have to go against the top defenders in the league because you got Rob Hellier there. I think this team is going to be a team that nobody wants to face. I think they're going to be very good in goaltending with Zach Higgins, who's not going to have to bail them out of 7 to 8 games anymore. You're going to get some scoring, and you have to get some scoring against the worst scoring team in the entire league last year. You get Callum Jones, who was Phil's bold prediction for the entire season. Hopefully he stays healthy for the entire season. Jake Sanders was a big signing as well that I think is going under radar. I don't know why Las Vegas let him walk out the door, but 16th overall pick in 2022, it's a fantastic signing. And then Nick Volkov coming over from the Taggart Clark deal, 14th overall pick in 2023. This defense is young, they're tough, they're talented, and I think they finally got the offensive piece to back up the goaltending and the defense that they have. Ottawa, I would not be shocked if they're a second round team coming into the playoffs. I think a matchup with Buffalo versus Ottawa, who is my 3-6 matchup, that would be must-see TV. 2 teams left. Number 5 seed, Phil has Halifax, who I had the 8th seed, and now I have the Rochester Nighthawks. Yes, same spot that they finished last year as the number 5 seed. Why? It's because of the uncertainty of Rylan Hartley. And I've said multiple times, if you get a full 18 games out of Rylan Hartley, I think he is a goaltender of the year type of player. And he's just too talented back there. He gets injured too often. Last year was a hammy. The years before that were the concussions. But this offense is absolutely filthy. And everybody talks about it. Connor Fields, lefty. You got Nathan Grennan who comes in, the gremlin. Does he make the team? Who knows, but he seems like a perfect practice squad player. Graydon Hogue, hopefully he takes that next step. Thomas McConvey, Brad McCulley, does he squeak into the lineup? The lefties are so talented, but the righties are even more talented. You got Ryan Lanchbury, who was unbelievable at the setup man last year. That's part of the reason why Connor Fields won MVP was because of Ryan Lanchbury on the other hand side. I was very questioning that move, why Georgia let him go and traded him to, why would Rochester want this player? Not because of the talent, but it just didn't make any sense. No, it makes complete sense. Ryan Smith, one of my bold predictions. Kyle Waters is still sitting over there. And assuming Zed Williams is fully healthy and ready to go, this offense is likely to be the top 1 or 2 offenses in the entire league. The defense, transition game, who knows what they're going to be. Bringing back Ian Lord is really big on the backhand side, but they pretty much bring everybody back. Jeremy Thompson, faceoffs and depth piece, just signed the other day. I'm very interested to see if Rylan Hartley can continue to prove that he is healthy and continue to put up the numbers when he's actually net for a full 18-game season. It's going to be a very dangerous out for Rochester, and I know Phil predicted them to, I believe, make the finals last year. It would not be shocking to see Rochester in the finals. Last team here, Phil has Rochester in the 4 seed. I just talked about them in my 5 seed. I have Oshawa in my 4 seed. Phil has him in his 6 seed. The number 4 seed here, it comes down to, I do not think they're as good as they were in the finals, and I do not think they were as bad as they were last year. If they are able to stay healthy on the defensive side of the ball, that was the main issue, in my opinion, of why they missed playoffs last year. How many games did they miss from Nishimura, Wagner? You missed games from Watkinson. You missed games from Tchaikovsky. This defense was so injured last year. If they're able to put in the majority of the time, and then you add in a Kyle Rubish, who, yes, was also hurt last year, but if the defense can stay healthy, I think Doug Jamieson has the capability of having an unbelievable season. And I do think this offense is able to figure it out with the pieces that they have now. A full off season of working these guys in, another season of Dyson Williams, another season of Ethan Walker, Kyle Jackson and Taggart Clark on the left-hand side. I think they're going to go 4 lefties, 3 righties, Peshko, Simmons, and Kurtz on the right-hand side. this offense, this defense, I do not think they're going to be tops in the league in scoring. I do not think they're going to be tops in the league in goals against, but I think both units together are going to lock it down and be a very consistent team where at the end of the day, you're going to look at it and go, man, how the heck is Oshawa the number 4 seed? They finished 11-7, 12-6, something along those lines. And you're just going, I don't think they're the top team, but they're just so consistent. I think that's how they get to the number 4 seed, is because they win the games they're supposed to, and they put up fights against the teams that they maybe should have lost. So running it down, Phil's 1 through 14. He's got Vancouver, Saskatchewan, Buffalo, Rochester, Halifax, Oshawa, Ottawa, and Toronto to make the playoffs. Just missing it is San Diego, Georgia, Colorado, Vegas, Calgary, and Philly to round it out. For me, 1 through 14, I got Vancouver, Saskatchewan, Buffalo, and Oshawa as my top 4. Rochester, Ottawa, Toronto, and Halifax is my bottom 4. And then the 6 teams missing it are San Diego, Colorado, Vegas, Georgia, Calgary, and Philly. So in the end, Phil and I have the same 8 making it in different orders and the same 6 missing it in different orders. We have 6 of the same 14 in the spots that we have locked in. But hour 10, man, how did I talk for an hour and 10 minutes? Hopefully this was a good one and people didn't instantly turn it off. But Phil should be back for the Monday episode, which we'll be talking about the Buffalo Bandits team. Hopefully we get some more notification on what the team looks like, because we're recording on Sunday before the rosters are there. And then the Bandits bold predictions. So if you're a Bandits fan or just an NLL fan, that is when we were giving our 3 bold predictions for the Buffalo Bandits. On that episode, we'll also go over Buffalo versus Houston, and we'll go over some Sabres action as well. But remember, Pack Reguar episode on Thursday. We got a reel coming out to talk about the Buffalo Bandits watch parties for the Tap That Tap Room coming out on Friday. We got Bud Bailey talking about his new book on Saturday. We got the normal first of the season, in-season show on Monday to talk about the Buffalo Bandits and our bold predictions like I just mentioned. Tuesday, nothing at the moment. Maybe an article from Phil, but I'm not holding him to it right now. Wednesday, we have our interview with Nick Kloss to break down Buffalo versus the Swarm. Get you ready for that Saturday game, the home and opener, and the banner raising ceremony. Thursday, we got 3 things. We got hopefully another interview talking Buffalo Bandits action. As I'm blurry right now, I'm noticing. Hang on, fixing it again. There we go. NLL Pickem. Remember to stay tuned on Sunday through Wednesday to vote on that. And then my power rankings, first power rankings of the year will also be out. And then Friday, we're previewing the show. So we are pumping out the content, getting you ready for the opening weekend for the NLL action leading up to Thanksgiving here in the States. So that will wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you for sticking around if you did, because hopefully I don't have to go solo for a while. Talking an hour, 10 minutes. How the heck did I do that? Let me click the button to outro this right now. Thank you all, or thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. That's about to get real busy. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.